My name's Brian, I'm 32, and I've been with my girlfriend Lily for just under 3 years. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue, clicked instantly, and started dating a few weeks later. I moved into her place about a year and away, half in, mostly because it made sense financially and logistically. It was her lease, but we split everything down the middle. Rent, bills, groceries. I even paid for her mom's flight when she came to visit last Thanksgiving, which is where things really started to shift. I always knew her mom wasn't my biggest fan. She had that passive-aggressive tone, always asking me what I really did for work, or saying things like, "Lily's always been the kind who needs someone responsible." But I figured she just needed time. I was raised to believe parents eventually come around. Spoiler, she didn't. And it wasn't just me imagining it. Friends noticed it too, how she'd barely acknowledge me or make little comments about how Lily used to be so focused before. It felt like I was on trial every time she came over. And Lily always played defense, never really standing up for me, but never throwing me under the bus either, just staying neutral, which somehow made it worse. Like I was being slowly cut out of my own relationship, and no one was going to stop it. At first, I brushed it off. Her mom would visit for long weekends every couple of months, and I'd make myself scarce. Go see friends, catch a game, just try not to be in the way. Every time she left, Lily would get quiet for a few days, like she was carrying something she didn't want to say. I'd ask if everything was okay, and she'd say she was just tired or stressed. I didn't press it. Maybe I should have. Things felt normal otherwise. We'd make dinner together, binge Netflix, laugh in bed. But then, little things started to feel off. Like one day I came home from work and noticed all my stuff in the bathroom had been moved to the bottom drawer. Then our bookshelf was reorganized, and suddenly none of my books were there. When I asked, she just said she was decluttering. It didn't feel like decluttering. It felt like erasing. Then one day I noticed our framed photo from a trip to Colorado was missing. She said the frame broke and she threw it out, but I never found it in the trash. Small things, sure, but they started stacking up. Like I was being phased out of the apartment piece by piece, and I was the only one pretending not to notice. One Saturday, came back from running errands and her mom's car was in the driveway. That wasn't unusual, but when I walked in, they were both at the kitchen table with the laptop open and a bunch of printed papers spread out. Lily slammed the laptop shut when she saw me. I joked, planning my surprise party, and neither of them laughed. Her mom just said, "We were just talking about a few options for Lily." I asked, "Options for what?" And Lily said, "Nothing serious, just some ideas." I didn't push, but something in my gut started feeling off. That night, Lily said she was thinking about getting a place closer to work. Her commute was bad, sure, but we'd talked about it before and agreed it wasn't worth the hassle of moving right now. I asked if she meant both of us or just her. She said she didn't know yet, that things were getting complicated. Then she added, "It's not about you," but that made it feel even more about me. I spent the rest of the night wondering how many conversations had happened behind my back. How long had this been going on? Her mom was always the one suggesting things, but Lily never used to listen this closely. Now it felt like she was hanging on every word. A week later, I found an apartment flyer in the trash with her name circled, next to the contact number. When I asked about it, she said her mom printed it, and she hadn't even looked at it. I wanted to believe her, but more things kept popping up. Her mom started visiting more, and every time she did, I felt like a guest in my own place. One night, I overheard them talking in the living room while I was getting ready for bed. Her mom said, "You're never going to grow if you keep letting him hold you back." Lily didn't argue. She didn't defend me. I just stood there in the hallway like an idiot, toothbrush in hand, realizing maybe I wasn't part of the long-term picture anymore. Stayed up late that night, pretending to scroll my phone, but mostly just staring at the wall. I started thinking about everything I had helped her with, setting up her office space, fixing stuff around the apartment, taking care of her cat when she traveled. None of it seemed to matter now. I felt disposable, like I had served a purpose. And now they were figuring out how to phase me out quietly. That same week, Lily started staying later at work, or at least that's what she said. She'd come home after 9, sometimes after 10, and barely talk. I tried making dinner one night, her favorite pasta, just to lighten the mood. She walked in, looked at the table, and said she wasn't hungry. I asked her if we were okay, and she just said she was tired. I asked if there was someone else, and she got defensive, said I was being paranoid, that her mom just had her thinking about things differently. That part stuck with me, thinking about things differently. It's like suddenly the life we'd built together wasn't good enough. Like she was auditing our entire relationship because her mom couldn't stand me. I noticed she stopped wearing the bracelet I gave her last Christmas. The framed photo of us on the shelf was gone too. When I asked, she said it broke, but I found it a week later in the drawer, perfectly fine. It was like she was slowly erasing me from the space, like getting used to the idea of me not being there. Then came the final blow. I came home early from work one Friday. My boss let us out early before the long weekend. I opened the front door and saw Lily and her mom in the living room with a realtor. The woman was holding a clipboard and saying something about deposits and availability. They all froze when they saw me. Lily said, "You're home early," like that explained anything. Asked what was going on, and her mom said, "It's not what it looks like." But it was. It was exactly what it looked. Like they were apartment hunting. Without me, to my own living room. That was the moment I realized I'd already been replaced in whatever version of her life they were planning. The realtor looked uncomfortable, like she'd walked into a trap she didn't sign up for. Lily didn't say anything for a full minute, just stared at the ground. Then she quietly said, "Can we talk later?" But there was nothing left to say. The talk should have happened weeks ago. That same week, Lily started staying later at work. Or at least that's what she said. She'd come home after 9, sometimes after 10, and barely talk. I tried making dinner one night, her favorite pasta, just to lighten the mood. She walked in, looked at the table, and said she wasn't hungry. I asked her if we were okay, and she just said she was tired. I asked if there was someone else, and she got defensive, said I was being paranoid, that her mom just had her thinking about things differently. That part stuck with me, thinking about things differently. Like suddenly the life we'd built together wasn't good enough. Like she was auditing our entire relationship because her mom couldn't stand me. I started to notice little things. 2 half-packed boxes in the closet, missing dishes, papers left out that had apartment names scribbled on them. When I confronted her, she said she was just looking around like it was some harmless curiosity. But I knew. It wasn't about curiosity. It was about a decision already made, one I just hadn't been informed of. Even the dog started sleeping in her room instead of ours. That's how invisible I'd become. I felt like a guest who had overstayed his welcome in a home I helped pay for. Then came the final blow. I came home early from work one Friday. My boss let us out early before the long weekend. I opened the front door and saw Lily and her mom in the living room with a realtor. The woman was holding a clipboard and saying something about deposits and availability. They all froze when they saw me. Lily said, "You're home early," like that explained anything. I asked what was going on, and her mom said, "It's not what it looks like," but it was. It was exactly what it looked like. They were apartment hunting without me in my own living room. That was the moment I realized I'd already been replaced in whatever version of her life they were planning. Her mom had orchestrated it. I could tell. She had that smug look on her face, like she'd finally gotten what she wanted. I looked at Lily, waiting for her to say something, anything that would make this feel less like betrayal. But she just stood there, silent. That silence told me everything. It was permission. Permission for her mom to move forward with this plan. Permission to cut me out. I don't even remember what I said. I just remember walking out, keys in hand, heart in my throat, like I was the one intruding in someone else's life. I didn't yell, I didn't scream or throw anything. I just walked past them, grabbed my keys off the counter and left. I didn't even know where I was going. I drove for almost 2 hours. No destination in mind, just needed to get away from the apartment, from her, from all of it. I ended up at a gas station parking lot, just sitting there in the car, trying to wrap my head around what had just happened. I kept asking myself how we got to this point. How did the woman I loved turn into someone who could plan a whole life without me and not even flinch? It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the fact that she didn't even have the decency to include me in a conversation about it. Like I was some obstacle they were tiptoeing around, just waiting for the right moment to push aside. That hurt more than anything else. Thought we were partners, but apparently I'd been downgraded to a roommate with no notice. The worst part was realizing that the signs were there and I had chosen not to see them. I kept thinking if I had done something different, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But deep down, I knew it was never really about me. Later that night, she texted me, just a short message. "We need to talk." I ignored it. Then another one came in, saying she was sorry I had to find out that way, that it wasn't her intention. That just made me laugh bitterly. Like there was a right way to be blindsided like that. I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say that wouldn't come out angry and desperate. I eventually drove back home, not because I wanted to, but because I had nowhere else to go. When I walked in, the realtor was gone, and her mom was in the bedroom with the door closed. Lily was on the couch crying. She looked up at me like she wanted me to hold her. I didn't. I sat in the chair across the room, said nothing. She started explaining how she felt like we were drifting, how her mom just made her feel like she had options, that she didn't have to settle. Settle. That word punched me in the gut. So that's what I was to her now. A compromise she regretted. She kept talking, saying maybe we moved too fast. Maybe she lost herself in the relationship. I didn't argue. I just sat there and listened to the version of me she had built in her head, and realized it wasn't someone I even recognized. I asked her if she'd ever actually planned on telling me. She said she didn't know, that everything got complicated, and she just kept putting it off. I asked her what exactly was complicated about being honest with someone you supposedly loved. She didn't answer that one. She just sat there with tears streaming down her face like that would somehow make everything better. I wasn't cold about it, but I didn't comfort her either. I couldn't. I told her straight up that I felt humiliated, not just because they were looking for a new place, but because I was clearly the only one out of the loop. Everyone else, her mom, probably even that realtor, knew this train was moving without me. I asked if she even loved me anymore, and her answer was, a long silence followed by, "I don't know." That did it. You don't say "I don't know" when someone you love asks that. You don't pause. You don't hesitate. You fight for it. She didn't. It was like she had already made peace with the idea of me being gone. I was the last person to get the memo. That's when I realized the version of Lily I thought I knew wasn't real anymore. Maybe it never was. That night, I packed a bag and went to stay at a buddy's place. Didn't even care what I threw into the suitcase. Just grabbed some clothes, my laptop, and a few essentials. I left the key on the kitchen counter. She didn't try to stop me, didn't beg me to stay. That silence was louder than any screaming match could have been. The next few days were weird. Kept replaying everything in my head, trying to see the signs. Had she been pulling away? Were there little moments I missed? Times when she was distant? Or when her phone seemed too close to her chest? There were a lot of them, but I just didn't want to see it. Kept telling myself she was stressed or tired or just dealing with her mom's constant meddling. But now I think she'd checked out way before I ever caught on. And that's what really stings. Not just the betrayal, but how long I was living in denial while she was planning her exit. Every little moment where I gave her the benefit of the doubt now feels like a joke. I was holding on to something she had already let go of, and I didn't even see it happening. Some nights I lie awake trying to pinpoint the moment everything changed. Was it the first time her mom made a snide comment and she didn't defend me? Was it when she stopped making long-term plans with me? When weekend trips turned into solo visits to her parents' house? Or maybe it was when she started locking her phone and turning its screen down every time I walked into the room. I ignored all of it because I trusted her. Because when you love someone, you tell yourself the little things don't mean anything. But sometimes they do. Sometimes they're all the clues you need, and by the time you finally add them up, the damage is already done. I wish I could say I learned something neat and tidy from all this, but I didn't. Not really. I just learned how fast a person can become a stranger, and how easy it is to lose something you thought was solid when someone decides they're done investing. In you, there's no warning. It's just withdrawal, slow and quiet. Like someone fading out of a picture while you're still trying to focus. All I know is this: people can share a bed. at least a life, and still keep entire parts of themselves hidden. Love doesn't always end in shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes it just dissolves, one small decision at a time, till one day you wake up and realize you're not in the picture anymore. You're just the guy picking up boxes from a stranger's porch, wondering how the hell you missed all the signs. I still haven't figured out what I'd even say to her if I saw her again. Maybe nothing. Maybe I'd just nod and keep walking, because at the end of the day, that's what happened. She kept walking and left me standing there with no real goodbye, just silence. And what haunts me most is how normal it all felt, right up until the moment it didn't. That it wasn't some dramatic betrayal. It was quiet, intentional, slow, like someone closing a door gently so it doesn't make a sound.